Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to each one of you here today for the 13th session of the add-on course Seed Self-Enhancement Enabling Development. Ms. Vijayanthi Jagannathan is with us for the second time today, and she was here day before yesterday, and a very powerful speaker in her own right, and she gave a wonderful introduction of herself, made my job so easy, I don't have to introduce her again. And Vijayanthi, the floor is all yours. I'll just like to move away from here so that you can take on right away from me. Thank you so much. Very warm welcome to you. The floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Nirmala. I enjoyed doing the first session, and I'm going to enjoy this session even more because this is very close to my heart.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Vijayanthi Jagannathan. For those who have only come to this program, not to my previous program, I'm a soft skills trainer, and I do this kind of a training for corporates and colleges. And I've been in this field for more than nearly 20 years. So we go on straight to the topic, campus to corporate. Now, I'll start with a small background. See, when this transition from a student to an employee, campus to corporate, or it's sometimes called the onboarding program, has been a very popular program for the last 15 years. So when we had meetings with the corporate to find out what exactly they were looking for in this program, how do you take a raw graduate who has got a lot of knowledge of theoretical stuff, and how do you make him or her employable in your company? We thought it should sort of span all spheres, all work types, not merely the IT industry, but all kinds of industries, so that at the end of the day, the individual employee is happy, as well as the organizations is also able to reap the benefit of having hired that person. So first, let me tell you, what does a campus to corporate program generally involve in the corporate? So when we say, we start with objectives. So what were the objectives of this program? We listed about 5 or 6. We said the first objective was to understand the difference between working in college and working in an organizational environment. That we thought was the prime objective. The second objective we thought was everybody who applies for a job has to be geared to the fact there must be some modifications in the image, in the thinking, in the behavior, and expectations about themselves and about what they are going to go in for in an environment. The third thing we also thought was, we said that he or she must be geared to become a professional. A person working on a job who's paid for his time, paid for the knowledge that he imparts, for all the work that he does, so that he sets standards for himself, he's able to adapt to the environment and give the best. So who is a professional? So we said we must define what is a professional expectation from an organization. Then we also said, there are certain essential components to become a professional. What are the essential components to become an effective professional? So we said we have to underline even that in this kind of a program. And importantly, or not last, also find new ways of adding value to oneself and to the organization. We set about with these objectives. Then when we set about these objectives, we said, also, what else does it involve? So there must be a transition from a student to an employee. So what does this transition involve? So this transition we thought would involve that the person must develop a competence, an attitude, a skill, and a knowledge, or a willingness and a skill to balance between task and people in his workplace. He's going to manage his work. He's also going to manage with people whom he's going to meet for the first time, and they are in a different relationship. So how is he going to manage his tasks as well as the people? The second thing that we also thought that you have to strike a balance between getting respect from colleagues, seniors, and other people whom he interacts with the organization. At the same time, he must accept the fact that he's a new kid in the block. He or she is a new kid in the block. See, very many times you are a first class first in your college. You have been a sports captain or you've been a cultural captain. You come with a lot of respect, bow around you. And when you come there, you're treated like nobody. First, you have to have that humility to say, I'm a new kid in this environment. All my past experiences and my status and my, my exposure will be of help somewhere. But now I must be open and humble enough to admit that I'm a new kid in this block, in this employment block. Then what did we say? That we have to give also. This requires, you must give time to adjust to your new life. Don't expect everything to happen on the first day within few weeks or months. Some people get adjusted very quickly. Some people take time. Some people take time with certain people and with certain tasks, not with all other tasks or all other people. But you must give yourself the time. This transition requires giving oneself time to adjust to all these new challenges. Then what did we say that what else is required? You require definitely, you must avoid or minimize getting anxious too often. Sometimes things will not work out in the way you want to. You are a perfectionist. You like to finish everything on time. You always will do things systematically. But the people with whom you're cooperating for a team project may not be of the same mindset, or they have their own priorities and pressures. So when things don't go the way you want, you tend to get stressed and anxious. Sometimes you find that you can't understand the language of your foreign client with whom you are interacting. Sometimes you can't even understand the people with whom you work, not because of their language, but because they have a very different orientation towards their work. But so you must try to minimize your anxiety. This transition requires that too. Then what should you do? You also have to develop initially. What you have to do is you must develop that kind of confidence that one can see in the first job. That confidence will come slowly. What gives you confidence? Knowledge gives you confidence. And confidence gives you credibility. So you must develop that kind of confidence. The same confidence you developed when it was on your first day in college, or when you came from another state or another background or from a school, and when you found that this college environment was very new, you had to instill yourself that kind of a confidence to say, I can face all the challenges. Some things may not go the way I want. There are some things I know and many things I don't know. And what I don't know is not rocket science. I may take time to know certain things, but I may take more time to know certain other things. So let me show that I will prepare myself well to face the challenges of a new environment. This is what the transition. So in order to do this, what are the things you have to do? Number one, you will have to build your reputation, your credibility, your identity, and confidence in the organization. What is credible? Vishwasam, you say, no, you must be reliable. People will say, if I give a job to this person, I know it will be done. And if it cannot be done within the stipulated time, this person will tell me, keep me informed, give me valid reasons why it is not being completed. So I know where is the work progressing. That reliability, that responsibility, that credibility, that confidence you have to develop. Second thing, what should you do? You should also be aware of the different cultures, protocols, and etiquettes of your organization. Now, what is a protocol? A protocol is a rule of behavior. What is etiquette? Manners. What you do is the protocol. How you do it is your etiquette. So you must know how do we, there is a protocol and etiquette relating to greeting people, writing emails, addressing people, participating in a meeting, knowing when to interrupt while you are in a discussion. So there are a lot of rules and manners that are general to many organizations, and some organizations have their own specific, peculiar, relevant rules and manners that can work in that organization. So try to understand the culture of your organization, what works, what does not work, how does a boss expect to be addressed. For example, in a manufacturing industry some time ago, very many in Chennai, there would be employees who take out their shoes before entering the general manager's room. That was the protocol and the etiquette that was there, which now we find very funny. Why should he take out his shoes? Not necessary. We are all in positions doing a job. So do you give respect to the person or respect to the position? This was a question. So, but now things are changing. So you have to understand the culture of the organization before you go ahead. The next thing that you need to also do is you have to definitely be very good in communication. And in communication, do a good presentation and be a good listener. What you need to understand is a contextual communication, background. With whom am I communicating? What am I communicating? I mean, how important it is to communicate to these people? Why should I communicate? And for all this, what is mandatory is you should be a good listener. Listening is not a biological activity. It is definitely an intelligent activity. You listen to the person, understand, sense what he's saying, then you give a meaning, interpret something into your head, and then you say, evaluate what is the response he's expecting out of me, or is that person not expecting any response, and then you respond. So listening is a process, and you have to do it very, very intelligently and carefully, because very many people's rise in an organization has been largely due to their communication skills. And one component of effective communication is good listening skills. So you have to develop your communication skills, your presentation skills, your email writing skills, your telephone etiquettes, and also the way in which your non-verbal or body language communication or your tone and voice, how does it come out in a meeting. Now you are having a virtual team, definitely your body language will be reflected in some way. They say a telephone operator should bring a smile in her voice. How? Because the way you emote while looking at a person will have to do the same way even when you're not looking at the person face to face. Very importantly, because of your communication skills, you're dealing with people, you have to develop good interpersonal skills, one-to-one relationship building skill. Like I told in my previous lecture, don't expect affection out of your colleagues and your bosses or your seniors, but work for acceptance. They have to accept you. They have to really take you into their confidence and start, giving you responsible jobs because they feel you're capable of delivering them. And next, very important, because of all this you have to manage change. Things may not be the same. Today they will give you one instruction, maybe they'll change because the customers or the clients are pursuing or pressurizing them to do something else. So change management also should be a part of your agenda. And last but not the least, your professional image does not mean you're unlearning all the time. You're combining your old experiences and your new, opportunities in such a way that you're able to fit into that job very well. Now, this is what we cover in a campus to corporate program. Now, keeping this background in mind, I shall wean out some important points from this background and tell you what is the transition from a student to an employee, or what do we have to really tackle in a campus to corporate transition. So we start with the first agenda in my lecture session is the difference between college life and corporate life. I think I asked you to brainstorm. Can I have some points? I have also done some homeworking and I've brainstormed some points. So let's see how many new points have you done. Can I add some value to the points you have raised? Can somebody start the discussion? Difference between campus and organizational life. Whether you're attending college or not attending college, there are essentially differences and similarities. So let's start with these differences. Can somebody tell me? Waiting for a response. Even if you have not brainstormed, tell me on the spot what you think is the difference. Any takers? I can't hear a single voice.
I think the difference is in the responsibility that one feels.
Okay. Your responsibility aspect, we can come a little later. Start with some more simple, obvious differences. We'll start from the simple to the complex. What are the simple differences between college life? Shall I start with a clue? The first difference I would say, yes.
So college life is very carefree, and
okay.
The students are not expected to do a lot of things, and they are not taking that much of self initiative,
Okay.
So I feel that.
Okay. Okay.
There's no
Somebody
dress
else?
code. There's no dress code.
Yeah. Now in today's virtual environment, what dress codes do you talk of? Okay. There are no dress codes. Okay. Okay. Then somebody else had posted an answer. That means the age group was varied in the corporate, whereas you are somewhat, you are somewhat the same age group in a college campus. Yes. Anything else? Simple. There, they pay. Here, you pay. It makes a lot of difference. Yes or no? You pay for getting into college, whereas there, they pay for your work. Yes, college life is very free, versatile, and independent. Okay, it's nice to be that, but here it's not so carefree. It's not so versatile, and here you are dependent on the work of others. Okay, fine. Anything else? Of course, the name tag itself is different. There, you're called a student, here you're called an employee. Okay. What else? Yes. Yes, Varsha, you want to say something? We need to go on. Yes, some more. I thought we'll have lots of
I
points.
think in corporate, there is the performance is more learning and performance oriented.
Okay. And in college?
In college, learning is definitely there, and it is a very wider kind of learning. But students have a very different notion of performance here. So they think performance more in terms of writing exams rather than learning, in a holistic kind of thing.
To put it simply, here it's more theoretical, that's more application. There's a more wide, you're not specializing or focusing on one or two things. You have a variety of an exposure and exposure and maybe knowledge information is given to you, whereas you work only on the project or the job specified. You write exams here, there your performance is evaluated. Your performance, you get what is called performance appraisal. Whereas here you get your marks or you're graded on the marks. But there you are graded on the value add to the organization, the timeline within which you finish. Somebody had posted, sorry, I didn't see. What did you post there, which I couldn't read because it went off too quickly?
Ma'am, someone has written theoretical learning in campus, whereas practical training in corporate.
Okay, okay.
Also, I think in college, you get to explore many things. You can explore a lot of things, whereas corporate is, to a specific field maybe, because you go in a specific field in corporate.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes. I want to add another one. Long hours of work in corporate as compared to college.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Then here you're guided by professors, teachers. There you're guided by your bosses or team leaders. Then I'll add here and there some points. Here you have individual assignments. There you don't have individual assignments. You have assignments of a team. You have a project. And so every day is like, for example, the team projects, everybody has to contribute for the assignment to get over or for the project to get over. Then attendance. Yes.
Can I say something?
What about
the fact that there is always this fear of losing your job in the corporate sector, whereas when you are in college, teachers can say something, you can disobey, you can do whatever you want to, but you will still not be thrown out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The price you pay for misbehavior or for some lapses in the corporate rules is very costly. But whereas here, you get away or you're pardoned or you're given another chance. Yes. Both places have competition, but the competition is of a different nature. Okay. Anything, timetable, you have time schedules here in college, but there you have, it's not a timetable. What you have to do is your output is your effort. What output is expected out of you, the timetable is set by you. And only the deadlines are given. Deadlines and resources are given by you. organization. What else? So, I mean, in college it's less structured, and there it's more structured in many ways. What else? Here you get minimum marks to pass and maximum best is 100%. Here there is no minimum or maximum pass. How much each day is important, and each day you're adding value, and they grade you on your each, they observe you on everything, not merely on a written paper or an oral paper, but overall your behavior. You have to be in the best behavior every day. You there in college, you don't have to have the best behavior every day, but here you have to be on your best behavior every day. Anything else before we go on to the similarities? Okay, tell me the similarities. What are the common things at college and campus? Yeah, somebody is in college, you take leave. Here, you have to inform them before taking leave, and you have only limited leave. You have paid leave, unpaid leave, casual leave, sick leave, and those kinds. They are classified. Okay, good. Okay. Can you tell me some of the similarities? The similarities that span across these workstations, whether you are in college or whether you are in campus. Can somebody tell me that?
The social scene is very active. So you're part of the partying group.
Okay, okay. Starting with the lighter thing, okay.
Both places, one is a learner and an observer.
Constantly grow, correct. Yes, right. Both places have a schedule which has to be adhered to, right? You can't say I can write exams at any time. Here you can't say I finish my project at any time. Yes, yes. But more so in the behavioral and attitude side. Now, both the places you have to work very hard. You have to have good health in order to perform well. You have to have a positive attitude. You must have the humility to say that I made a mistake and learn from the mistakes. You have to acquire knowledge and polish your skill all the time. You have to have a self-motivation. All the time your teachers, even if your teachers motivate you, you will have to motivate yourself. And here, even in office, more so, you have to motivate yourself in order to give your best performance. Then you need to be very patient. Now, these are qualities and traits. You have to be flexible. You have to take ownership of certain tasks. When something goes wrong, you can't say they did it. When something, you have to say we did it, whether it's right or the wrong things. Because in both the places, what requires zero talent? Talent is something natural inborn. In both the places, what requires zero talent is being on time. Very important in both the places. Your work ethics and your, your personal ethics, your efforts, your body language, your energy, your attitude, your running that extra mile and being prepared. So all these are very, very important in any context. Now, what I have done is I prepared the ground for you to understand. Some areas, transition is very obvious, many areas, but basically in your behavior, in your attitude, in your values, there are things that can really stand by you throughout your career in whichever environment you are. So that brings me to our next concept, competence. You have this thing, isn't it? We had forwarded to you a competence matrix. Competence is equal to attitude plus skills plus knowledge. And I've given you a can and will matrix. All of you have it on your phone or on your laptop? Yes? Can I start looking at that for explanation? Vidhi, can I go ahead? Everyone has it? Yes, you have it, all of you in your phone, the can and will matrix. We want an organization wants competent employees. It can't afford to recruit people who do not have certain essential employable skills and traits. So can I start the explanation? Everyone has that diagram before you, the can and will matrix. Yes, just post a message to me so that I can start my explanation.
Yes, we have it.
You have it. See, generally, competence is defined as a combination of attitude, skills, and knowledge. Ask of life. Attitude is the way you approach people, behavior, and things. It's called the will factor or the willingness factor. Skills is nothing but, okay, define a skill to me. Please give me a definition before I give you a definition. What is a skill? Skill is not a talent. Talent is inborn. When you train a talent, then you can talk about skill. But what is a skill? Anybody? Quickly, an answer.
Learned attribute.
A learned attribute is a nature of a skill, but not a definition of a skill. What is the definition of a skill? Okay. Knowledge converted by practice is called a skill. You practice something, you become so good at it that you slip into a level of unconscious competence. You're not even aware you're performing it. For example, if you've been driving a scooter for 10 years or 5 years or a car, it becomes so automatic that you don't have to take an effort or use your brain to do it because it's just ingrained in you through practice. So knowledge converted by practice is called a skill. And the last one is, of course, knowledge. Knowledge is what? So knowledge and skills gives you the ability to do a job. So that's called the can factor. And the attitude is called the willingness factor or the will factor. If you look at the matrix that I've given you, this is a very popular matrix in organizations. Whom do I want to recruit, retain, and promote in the organization? Now, this was the basis on which this matrix evolved. They say there are 4 kinds of employees. So we take the can and will as 2 parameters and say, now there can be an employee who says, I cannot do it and I'm not willing to do it. He does not have the knowledge, skills, or the positive attitude or willingness to do a job. Now, this person is never recruited if they have a choice, but because they come through backdoor entry, recommendation, or some reservation, they will come in, and if they still continue to show the same attitude, lack of learning, lack of application, they don't face any promotion, they are given some insignificant job, and if possible, they are chased out of the organization. So the organization say that I can test this 3 even through an aptitude test, through a GD, or through facing the interviews for a new level entry. What is his knowledge level? Knowledge level, the basics. If he says maths was my favorite subject, he should know the basic mathematical concept. If he says accounting was my favorite subject in college or school, how does he fare on certain basic concepts? And then skill, has he done a project? Has he learned a course or has he applied it somewhere? And what is he, when he says he does not know, does he have the humility to say that he does not know, and he shows a willingness to learn it in the future? So this person does not have all the 3. He does not have the knowledge, attitude, or skills, so he's not recruited. We have a second kind of a recruitment candidate, or second kind of an employee who says, I can do it, but I'm not willing to do it. He has an attitude problem. He's knowledgeable, he's got experience. This is very much like somebody say, applying for a job, I'm from IIT or from some very well-known and reputed institution. I've got gold medals, I've been taken on internship for so many projects, and everywhere I got a certificate, excellent certificate, and I need a special treatment in the organization. I can't do what everybody else does because I'm somebody unique. If he has the standoffish attitude, if he thinks he's superior, he does not have the willingness to share his information with others. He does not have the willingness to say, I may be 100% in one area, but there are some areas where I'm still in the 20% or 10% proficiency. If he's not willing to be positive, he's very judgmental, he's very egoistic. Now, this person may be recruited, but will be retained only temporarily. Why will he be recruited? Maybe the expertise that he brings to the table is important for the organization at that point of time. So they will employ him, but during the course of time, when his expertise becomes a common shared knowledge and he has a problem, handling people or dealing with people, he himself will quit, he or she will quit, or the organization will ask him to quit. See, there was a survey done long ago asking all the senior leaders, give me what are the 1 or 2 factors that really contributed to your growth and stability in the top. They said it was my ability to understand people, deal with people, and my good interpersonal relationship. In short, they were talking about emotional intelligence. What is emotional intelligence? The ability to handle my emotions and other people's emotions. Awareness of self and awareness of others, and the ability to get along with oneself as well as with others is called emotional intelligence. So they said this was the main reason. It was not to do with their superior degrees or their technical know-how. They said 85% of my skill, my success was because of my relationship building skills. So this person will be recruited according to the needs of the organization. But if his expertise is not needed, he shows too much arrogance in the interview, gets out. Then we have a third kind of an employee who says, I cannot do it. I don't have the knowledge or the skills, but I'm willing to learn. I want to learn. I'm very keen. For a long time, I've been dreaming of such a job in such an organization. Please, I'm willing to learn from basics. I'll put in a lot of hard work. And what does this person require? Teaching, training, and testing. Teach him what to do, train him how to do it, and test him whether he has done, whether he has done it or whether he's learned. So this person is an employable person. See, a campus to corporate involves enhancing your employability. What is employability? Your ability to develop and display those skills and qualities that are in demand at a particular time in a particular profession. So what are the skills that you require? I will come when we come to the success skills matrix, we'll tell you. So it is very important that this person is could be a very valuable asset to the organization because his attitude is open, his attitude shows he's willing to learn, he's flexible, adaptable, and he will manage change. See, attitudes can't be formed overnight. They are groomed from your childhood, from your exposure, your experience, the kind of milieu that you grew up, the kind of neighborhood that you saw, you had, the kind of city or town or village you grew up, the family which you grew up, the friends you kept, the books you read, the magazines you had seen, the films you had watched, all that has had a role in shaping your attitudes. So it is very important that if this is already there, then you have to work only on the knowledge and skills part of it. See, knowledge and skill can always be learned. But attitude, undoing and relearning or changing your attitude is not as easy as learning a skill or a knowledge, because it may take time, but it can be learned. Whereas this starts right from childhood. So changing it takes a lot of time. But if you're able to change it, excellent. But of course, our ideal employee is a person who says, I can do it and I'm willing to do it. When he shows some amount of interest. That's why as college students, when you apply for a job, during your free time, do some small courses so show that you have been keeping yourself involved or exposed to things that are going to be related to your job. Now that interest, involvement, initiative. What is initiative? Self-starting. The ability to take a step forward without being prompted by others. When you take an initiative, I went and registered for this course. I enrolled for this. I volunteered to take up this activity in college. You show some leadership skill, you show some interest ability. So when you are showing some interest in doing certain things, and though your capability is not 100% in it, the employer will feel very happy to take you because he feels you're a moldable material. So that is what is very, very important. So this is what's called the competence matrix. Today, when you see a competency framework, instead of an attitude, they'll put an ability. They say that in college, you start with knowledge. When you come to corporate, you start, developing your skill as well as your abilities. See, the example that was given by one student who did a video on competence framework, he says that when I go to a driving school, they teach me what is the brake, what is this, what is that. I'm in the knowledge stage. When they give me practice in driving, I become skillful. And when do I become a capable person of driving? When I'm able to maneuver in a traffic, when I'm able to, avoid an accident, when I'm able to maneuver a very, very complicated or a bad road, that shows my ability. So today, the organizations are looking at knowledge, your skills, as well as your attitude, as well as your capability. And underlying capability, knowledge, and skills, what is most important is your attitude. So we come to our next framework of discussion. For this, ma'am, what are the kind of skills that I need to develop when I'm entering into the corporate world? Now, please look at the success skills matrix that I've given you. All of you have that? The success skills matrix? Yes, please tell me yes. I think it was along with this diagram. It was just given after this diagram. Yes. Can I Can I have an S? All of you are having it with you?
Yes, yes, we have it.
Yeah. Please give me an X. I want to hear a lot of people explaining this. This is called the success skills matrix, very popular in some HR papers, but very relevant to everyone, irrespective of the field in which you want to work. Can somebody tell me? Just look at the diagram and give me whatever comes to your mind. Why is the diagram shaped in this way? What does it reveal? What does it say? What do you mean by technical, human, and business skills? How is it relevant to you? Yes? Yes? I'm waiting.
It shows the relevance. It shows the relevance of skills in a particular designation, like the percentage of like the junior most person will have more of technical skills rather than the other kind of skills. So the share of these skills at a particular level.
Okay. Point well taken. Anything else? There are lots of things to be observed in this diagram. It's very useful for people from all ages and all levels. Anything else? Yes, Soumya, you wanted to say something? I'm waiting. Yes, it was by mistake. A mistake can be converted into an opportunity. Tell me something, no, Soumya, about it. Don't ever think it's right, wrong. What will other people think? I feel shy. Just speak up. We are having an informal session. You're not going to be tested or graded on this. Tell me what comes to your mind.
The path also shows that there is movement from within different levels.
Okay. Suparna is the most active participant. Anybody else? I can't get anybody else from there. Please, some of you just respond whatever you feel. Even if it's repetitive, say it in your own words. Because many a time, organizations know when you go for a GD, somebody would have snatched away the only point you had. But you have to say it in your own style because they also want to know, do you speak up and do you have a style of communication? So even if it's the same point, you can say it in your own words. I don't mind waiting. I have time till 6 o'clock. I'm going to wait. Chalo, kuch bhi bolo. I'm very afraid to speak in Hindi because my tati and all go for a toss. So with all Delhi walas who are so good in Hindi, I don't want to speak my broken Hindi. Come on, Vidhi, Aishwarya, Mamta. I have all the names here. Radhika, Vaishali, Diksha, Ruby. Nirmala is not there, I think. Samriddhi, Cheshta, Isha, Varsha. We are all very tired, or you feel there's nothing to say? I'm going to wait for 2 more minutes and then I'll start. What else is obvious in this? In effectiveness program, we talked about analytical skills and creative skills. Just analyze this diagram already. Everything has been given.
I feel that human skills are really important. They form the basis where your technical and your business skills can flourish.
Wonderful. I was waiting for that. Human skills is the only skill that is consistently required at all the 3 levels of the organization. The space allotted to the word human remains the same irrespective of the level in which you are there in an organization.
Ma'am, they are the assets of the company.
Absolutely. Without human beings, you cannot make profits. Okay. You can have lovely technology, beautiful office, beautiful design, but nothing will work unless people work with passion and commitment. Okay. See, somebody else, I'm so happy with that.
Girls, you can also type in the chat box, but while they are speaking or typing, I just want to say one thing. When we talk about human skills or human resources, so, usually when we are talking about resources, we forget about human resource, that which is a really important part in each and every field. We forget about it. So that is something very important.
Every organization has come to, even in this post-COVID times, even when people are working from remote locations, even if there is a hybrid work culture. A hybrid work culture means you work from home and you also work sometimes in office, and you work with people from different backgrounds at different time zones. Even then they said people are the foundations of success. See, a human skill means here, if skill always is reflected in behavior. It is not a trait or a quality. So when we say skills, in human skills, we have three kinds of skills. We have communication, team working, and interpersonal skills. These three skills are fundamental to the success and profitability of any company. Communication, which I'm going to take next, is the most important contributory factor for a person's growth as well as an organization growth. And team building skills, because here, at least in college, you were graded on your performance, and somebody else's performance does not affect your marks or does not affect your percentage, though the reputation of the college may be affected by the overall performance of all individuals put together. But in an organization, individual performance does not have the same value as the team performance and the customer satisfaction, for which every project, you are all in project teams. You are not going to be working as individuals unless you are a researcher. You've been given a special kind of an assignment. So, and interpersonal skills is a one-to-one relationship with these two. Right from the chai wala, to the security, to the admin office, to your HR, to the technical expertise, to the CEO, to the team, you must have good one-to-one relationship, in the sense you're not going to become their best buddy, but you're very pleasant, acceptable, and comfortable in their presence, which will really make you visible in an organization. So if you look at the diagram, now this is sometimes given even in an interview, asking you to explain what you understand by this from campus to corporate. One is all the three skills are required at all the levels, though not in the same proportion. That's my first observation. Whether you're a junior most employee or a senior most employee, you require all the three skills. And this chart tells you the three levels in an organization and three kinds of skills you require to succeed in an organization. Technical skills are on-the-job skills. If you're an accountant dealing with payrolls, dealing with accounting data, that is your technical skill. If you are a waiter in a hotel, you have to deal with customers, you have to, you have to deal with people inside the kitchen, or even internal customers and external customers. And if you are, say, a communications manager, you are in charge of publications, you will have to deal publishing, getting the information, recording the events. That becomes your technical skill. Technical skills are called operational skills. Anything that gets a job done is called a technical skill. Then you go on to human skills. Human skills are nothing but your communication, team working, and interpersonal skills. But if you look at it, even at the junior most level, you require communication, because you have to be communicating with each other. You have to talk to people, exchange notes, exchange information, inform people, escalate an issue if you are not able to understand, take it to the superior, ask for help. So many things you have to do. And then when you, and little bit of, business skills. If you look at the diagram, a small portion is being allotted to the word to business skills, a small towards the right hand extreme end. What is the business skill you require in the junior most level? Business skill is nothing but what are the skills you require to sustain the business and expand the business. For example, cost cutting is called a business skill. Even in your junior level, do you switch off the electricity when not in use? Do you waste office paper? Do you take too much of traveling allowance when you could have finished, in one travel, you could have finished 5 or 6 things. Cost cutting or budgeting skills is called a business skill. Coordination is a business sustenance skill. Administration, that is a business sustenance skill. So even at that level, they want you to develop some kind of a business skill. When you move to a middle level, you have to update your technical skills, though you may not be doing the same kind of job that you are doing at the junior level. But here again, your human skill is important because you not only have people reporting to you, you have to report to the senior people. So your communication, teamwork, and interpersonal skills are very important. And here you expand your business development skills. You have to take decisions, you have to problem solve, you have to delegate, you have to show some kind of leadership skill. And when you move on to the senior most level in an organization, nobody will ask the CEO or the general manager to do some operational technical tasks. But he must know what are the minimum technical operations in that organization. He could be a graduate in finance, but he must know certain operational, mechanical, or technology related information, because he must know what is happening inside the organization, though he may not be directly doing it himself. Again, for him, he needs to have good relationship inside the company and with people outside the company, like stakeholders, customers, the banks, the politicians in the other financial institutions. But at that area, the focus becomes very important on business skills, like leadership, problem solving, decision making, expansion of business, creative innovation skills, all that. But what is very important is human skill is the only skill that is consistently required at all levels in an organization. So when you are recruited or you enter into an organization, people will not mind if you make mistakes in your technical area, or if you're a little struggling in business cost cutting or some more coordination, because I feel you can always learn. But what they will really look out for is your ability to get along with people, ability to clearly express yourself, your ability to make a presentation, your ability to write simple, concise emails, your ability to listen to people, and your ability to be open and willing to share information with others. So all this becomes very, very important in your success journey inside an organization. Any questions before we go to the next one? This is the success skills matrix. Any questions? No? Clear enough? Shall I go to the next? So now we come to what are the essential components for becoming effective in an organization. Now, the first effective component is communication skill. Now, in communication, we are going to talk about verbal, your non-verbal, as well as your written communication. Now, email, let us start with the last, the written communication. You're going to write a lot of emails. So please remember, your emails can't have the same tone or voice as your normal emails that you say write to friends, or sometimes informal tones that you use in email inside college. You have to know who is your target audience. You must have a subject heading. You must follow some etiquettes. It has to be structured. The content has to be read again and again and worked upon. You will have to know how to address the person whom you're talking to. It has to be short and concise. You can't send a lot of, CC to people. You must learn not to, and you must not make grammatical or spelling mistakes. So a lot of things. There are a lot of details on email writing. So email writing definitely will reflect the quality of that organization, the kind of emails you write. And emails should be really written when it's absolutely, when you require a written record, when the person is not accessible or available to you in person through a phone or through in person, you will have to resort to the email because it's a very cost-cutting measure. Emails are less expensive than ringing up or doing a video conferencing. Then you have verbal communication, making a presentation. You have done presentations in colleges, some of you, your course assignment presentation, your project presentation, but in office, your project presentation, your office presentation is slightly different in the sense it is done with an agenda, with a purpose. So you have to remember three things: mass, your matter, or the material that you're going to present, the audience to whom you're going to present, and yourself as a presenter. So you have to work on all these three things. How do I talk? How do I present the material? How do I organize my stuff? And you must never, you can't afford to repeat yourself. In a presentation, you'll find all kinds of people. So you must do some research about the audience. What they are. Yeah, somebody, what they already know, what they need to know, or they wish to know. Isha, you want to say something? So you will have to do some kind of research. So presentation is a very important skill. Practice, practice, practice. It is all right to be nervous before a presentation in office, your first presentation in office, but don't bother. Nervousness is a part of, it's right that you are nervous. Control your nervousness, that's all. You can't eliminate your nervousness. So plan. If you've already done a lot of presentations college, it would not be so difficult. But for people who find it difficult to, even give a small written presentation or an oral presentation, please take care of it very well. Then you also have to be, I told you as before, listening, good listening skills. Absolutely mandatory for your success in the organization. What is listening skills? Listening is where listening happens, there active listening has to happen. You have to be like a doctor. What does a doctor do? When you go to him, he does first diagnostic listening. Acha, what's your problem? Stomach is aching, doctor. Acha, stomach is aching. How long has it been aching? Did you take any tablets? Has it occurred before? Did you eat anything spicy? He will first locate or diagnose the location, the context of your problem. Then he will do reflective listening. He will say, okay, this person has not taken any spice, they have not taken any tablets, but his stomach is aching and he has taken some antacid tablets, but it's not going. Then he will respond by saying, okay, I'll prescribe another set of medicines, take them for 5 days. If you're not all right, come back to me. So there is time. There is what is called diagnosis, reflection, and then only response. Similarly, when somebody comes and tells you, hey, I'm not happy. Hey, what boss shouted at you? What, you're not in the promotion list? Don't immediately jump to conclusions and give them frightening options. Okay, she's unhappy. We're present. Unhappy if something that happened in college or something happened at home or happened in office. Why is this person talking to me about it? What does she expect me to answer? Then you would say, what happened? You will only ask something which will make the person comfortable and wanting to talk to you more. So similarly, in your office, when there are technical presentations or some jobs are given to you, listen completely without interruption. Don't interrupt the person while they're talking. That is why God has given us 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we talk less and listen more. This itself is a very natural inbuilt mechanism. So listening is a very important component of communication. And please remember, always talk in a context. Explain the background, keep people informed, be open and willing, be an open learner. Now, in communication, there are so many things that you can do, but please remember that these things are essential grooming, components for you to be effective in your corporate life. And remember the 5 C's of communication. Courtesy. I don't have to teach Dilliwala's courtesy because always you never say tu or tum. You're always very polite. I remember the first time when I came to Delhi and I saw a grandfather talking to his grandchild in my neighborhood. He said, "Aap ullu ke patte hai." I said, "Ah, Kullu ke patte." With so much of respect, he's holding his grandchild. But I thought that aap is a part of your culture. So that courtesy is ingrained, I think, in your language, in the way you relate to people. So it is very important. You are very courteous. May I, thank you, excuse me, please, sorry. All this has to be a part of your permanent part of your corporate vocabulary. Then you also have to be very clear when you talk. स्पष्ट होना चाहिए. Remember, maryada ke siva, you have to be also very clear. What is it you want to say? Don't talk long sentences or don't talk in bits and pieces. Give a complete background information. This is what happened and this is what I want. So clarity is very important. Then conciseness, very brief, to the point. If somebody asks you what happened, why didn't you complete? Sir, when I came in the morning, actually the computer was not logging in. I asked Usha first. He get very irritated. What happened? You did not get the required information yesterday. So you're waiting for the information. It is supposed to come at 10 o'clock. So there is a half an hour delay in submitting the report. Just be very concise. Keep that person informed about what is happening. Then you have to be correct in your information. Correctness means not being vague. Acha, when will you finish this assignment? In a couple of days. What is couple of days? 4 days or 5 days? You say it will be ready by day after tomorrow at 5 o'clock. How much of the work is finished? Most of the work is finished. What is most of the work? 80%, 90%, 50%, 20%? Please give them a correct picture. And the last is completeness. Complete your communication. Your communication matter. So that person will know what he's supposed to do after that. So communication is a very dynamic component of your effectiveness in the corporate office. Any questions relating to this? Pin drop silence. Nirmala, you think you could encourage them to ask questions?
Yes, Vijayanthi.
Yeah. There's such a pin drop silence in this group, but last time they were more interactive.
I'm sure they have questions at the end.
Okay, I shall continue. Thank you.
Yeah, because I feel that they can ask as and when they feel like, like last time. And I think Suparna and Mamta are really interacting.
Very, very interactive. I'm so happy.
Which is good.
Then we come to the next major component of effectiveness in an organization is your time management. Okay, now you do a small exercise. If you have a notebook or a pencil or a pad or even your iPad, write 3 words. Doing, planning, doing, and interacting. Please write it in your phone or in your slip of paper or your notepad. We'll do a doctor's health checkup of time management. A small fun game we have. You will have to write planning in one column, doing in another column, and interacting in another column. Planning means yojana. Doing is kam karna. And interacting is paraspar, what do you say? Bachit karna. If I'm not made myself clear, am I right in this translation of words?
Interacting antakaran.
It's right. I mean, paraspar bachit karna or something like that. When you are in touch with people. Okay, interact. Now you have these 3 columns. Now I'm going to tell you, don't write. I will tell you what you have to do. And when I say do, you do it. Now you have to reflect on your time management, say as a student or a professor or this thing. See, if you are happy with your planning efforts, if you are happy with your execution efforts, doing efforts, and you're also happy with the interactions you've had with people, put a plus, plus, plus on all the 3 columns. If you are not, please don't put a plus. Then the second kind is, ma'am, I don't plan, but I do a lot of work. I'm all the time doing and I'm all the time interacting. So you'll put a minus, plus, plus if you're in this category. The third category is, ma'am, मैं बहुत सारे योजना बनाती हूँ. Yojana is very good. But doing, no, I don't execute. I don't convert them into action. But I have time interacting with people. Everybody likes me. Everybody talks to me. I'm very, very, people-oriented person. So you'll put a plus, minus, plus. The fourth combination will be, ma'am, I'm planning, I am also doing, but I have no time for interaction with others. बहुत कम कनेक्टिविटी है पीपल के साथ क्योंकि मेरे ऊपर इतना काम है. So I'm planning, I'm doing, but I'm not interacting. Have you done so far? Which category? You will only belong to one category in this. You can't put this thing for everything. A plus if you're doing it, a minus if you're not doing. Not doing it means you're doing it, but you're doing it less. Not to the extent you have to do it. Okay. So now these four will come. Then we'll come to the next worst people. The next people are really, they have to work on it. The next, there is another kind of a person who said, Mom, I don't plan, I don't do, but I'm all the time interacting, I'm all the time with people. If you're like that, you have to put minus, minus, plus. My doing is less, my planning is less, but interacting, pakka, bahut kush hu main, us area mein, put a plus. The next one, ma'am, I don't plan, I do, and I don't interact. I don't plan also, I don't interact also. All the time, my desk is full of papers. All the time before computer, finishing this work, finishing that work, finishing this and finishing that. So you'll put a minus, plus, minus. The next category is, Ma'am, I don't plan, ma'am, but I'm always busy doing something. And I also interact. And I don't have time to interact with people also. No. This is not a category. I think planning, we have not put a plus, no. Ma'am, I plan a lot. But I don't do, I don't interact. Put a plus, minus, minus. I think I'm right now. Put a plus in planning, minus, minus. And the last category is minus, minus, minus. I'm sure nobody will be in the last category. Chalo, have you done your, have you diagnosed your problem where you are? Yes? Now, I'll tell you the results of the doctor's diagnosis, time management, effectiveness. If you are in the first category, that means, what was the first category? That plus, plus, plus. Very effective person. You're a well-balanced person. You have time. You will never complain for lack of time. You're quite happy with the outputs that you have got. You don't have unrealistic estimations about yourself. You know when to stop doing, when to start. Your priorities are right. Very effective, successful, result-oriented person. First one. I'm sure many of you are in that. The next is, what did we say? Plus, plus, minus. Am I right? Yes? Somebody just give me a tick, yes or no answer. The next
Minus, plus, plus. Minus, plus, plus.
Minus, plus, plus. I don't plan at all, ma'am, but I'm all the time busy doing something and I'm all the time interacting. Means you get other people's work done, but you don't get your work done. That will be the result. All the time you're running about other people's priorities. You're all the time contacting people to get their work done, but your own work goes for a toss. You're not so happy. You're dissatisfied. The next one is plus, minus, plus. Am I right? Or
Yes.
Plus, minus, plus. Means you are very good in planning, very good in interacting. Now that is what we said, no? Yes, very good, but you don't do your work. I mean, you are not showing any work. That means no work gets done, no results come out because you have not completed your task. You're planning well, bahut acha hai, paper mein, and you're also interacting with people. But what happens? No work gets done. So you don't give results and people are dissatisfied with you. More than you being dissatisfied with it, people are dissatisfied with you. The next one is plus, plus, minus, right? The next one. You are very good in planning, very good in doing, but you don't interact. You are called a selfish person. You are looked upon as a selfish person because self-agenda is very high. So people will not cooperate with you. They will look at you with distrust and mistrust because you don't interact with you. You become a karyavadi. You want something matlabi. You want some work, only then you'll talk to people. Otherwise, you're only bothered about your work, about your plans, and you're not bothering to reach out to people, run an extra mile for people, or take other people's help. So you will be called upon like matlabi, self-agenda very, very high. Then the not so good categories are the rest. When you don't plan and when you don't do and only you interact with people, you're all that you're a very popular person. Ah, what a popular person, but they say useless person. Behind your back, they say useless, या कुछ काम नहीं करता है, कुछ योजना नहीं देते, कुछ भी हम अपने काम की उसकी responsibility नहीं दे सकते. Because in a corporate, they don't want such kind of people. Another kind of a person, he's not planning, he's not interacting with people, but he's all the time working. Too much of files in his desk means you are sure for a treadmill or heart attack. You are overworked because you don't know how to say no. And the next kind is you only plan, you don't do, you don't interact, dreamer. No work gets done, no use. You'll only talk, make plans, but nothing gets done. And of course, the last category is a useless person. Anything you want to share with me before we go to the next one? Have you identified where you are in this, called this health checkup of time management?
Ma'am, I have a question. Can I ask a question?
Yes, Ruby, nice. So that I don't forget afterwards.
No, the problem that we as teachers are facing today, right now, is a barrage of information. We are interacting through mails, through WhatsApp, through webinars, through 100 different sources. And I think we are going to explode after a point because everybody wants information. So how do we deal with this aspect that because we are in online mode, there is no boundary, there is no limit. 9 baje raat ko, 11 o'clock at night, people want information. Mails are coming at 12 o'clock at night. I mean, how do we cope with this excessive interaction?
Okay. Classify, chuck it, or prioritize it. See, when so much of information comes, you just ask yourself, that means a little bit of a planning is the problem. See, what is it that I require for me to teach an undergraduate class? Some information may be useful to you at a later time. It is not necessary at all. People may give you a lot of information. Learn to just shuffle them and put them in a later to be seen basket.
It's the other way around. They want information. Give information. Give information.
Okay. Okay. Then you ask yourself, are you the person? Is that very closely related as a priority factor to your job, to your subject, or to whatever role? If you are not the only person who has the information, and this kind of information that person is asking, it can be got with many other persons. Learn to delegate and share. So for these kinds of information, you are the person who are going to provide that information. For this, I'll do and divide, share that work. Why? I mean, it sometimes happens that one person is bombarded with more information. I mean, wanting to get more information from that person than another person. That means somewhere where you are planning as a team has to be improved. You can classify, what kind of information is generally people ask. Not all the time it comes as a surprise, or it comes as some shock, or it comes as like a, do or die kind of a situation. So learn to classify, say no to some information where it is, you may know it, but you are not the person expected to give it. Direct that person to that person. Don't feel that what will the other person think. He may be a head of the department, or he may be an important person. He'll think I don't want to give. Now, all this depends upon the kind of image you have built, an identity you have built with everybody else in the organization. Are you a correct person? Are you a polite person? Do you know, are you a very planned person? They know they won't have nonsense. Only to some persons they'll take advantage. To other people, they will not. Why is it they're able? Some people are able to not to be succumbing to such kind of pressures, where others are succumbing. So I think, Ruby, it depends a lot on how you learn to classify whatever information is being asked from you, and find out whether that is the information you want to give, you need to give, or you have to give. And are there other people who can also share, who could come and pitch in and form a team and say, for such kind of information, you give the answer. Such you give, such you don't give. I shall tell you of another small example. There is a boss who was very successful in his organization because he had this, he called this all as interruptions. People asking for information any time of the day, anything, whether it's relevant or not. So he classified it into three: the red zone of interruption, orange zone of interruption, and green zone of interruption. Red zone of interruption, from morning 9:30 to such a time, nobody can interrupt me. They can't barge into my cabin, not ask for any clarification, nothing. I will not even look at them. Then he said orange zone of interruption, between such and such a time or any time in the day you can ask, unless it becomes urgent and important. And green zone of interruption, he kept 2 hours in a day where you say, you ask me any kind of thing, clarification, information, I'm willing to give it if I have it and if I think I am the right person to give it. Have I answered, Rudy, your question?
Yes,
Ruby?
yes, you have answered my question, but most of the information that I have to give is the have to.
Only from you? Only from you? Nobody, you can't delegate it to somebody else?
Yes, we do delegate, but there is this pressure that abhi karna. So you start delegating, and that itself is a work.
Have you got a column in your computer or your this in where you put all this information that has been frequently asked for you into one kind of a file or a folder, that when somebody asks you, just forward that folder, keep them into columns or strips and say, this strip will come to you, please take and whatever information you want. Have you done something like that? Maybe you should do that. Will also help.
Yes, thank you so much.
And sometimes, Vijayanthi, the nature of information is such that it keeps changing also. So, you have to constantly update it,
Okay.
That is also another thing.
Okay.
Another problem is that these days we are members of many WhatsApp groups.
Okay.
So, so the phone is always kind of coming.
We're going to explode one of these days.
Acha, do you give them to people, to the different groups? Do you have a invasion time, a no time, or
there is no non-invasion time?
So you have to learn to build something non-invasion time for certain things, if possible. And that's what I'm saying. If you have seen it over a period of time, it's becoming stressful to you and preventing you from doing your personal work or even essential work. Somewhere you have to organize that in such a way that at least it is minimized. And the ability to say no is a very important assertive skill that all of you have to develop. When ability to say no, when no is the best option available, not the only option.
But others also have to learn to accept a no.
So you will have to, they will get used to your no. You're not giving them time to get used to it. No. You have to get, okay, if I go to her, she will say no. I mean, that kind of an image is built up around you, but you will not say no to urgent and important things. You will say a no to things when you think this need not be handled by you at that particular point of time. And that again depends upon the good relationship or the understanding you have of each other. That interpersonal skill is important. If I don't like you, even if yours is a very valid no, I will tend to misinterpret it because I don't like you. That is why we say don't develop into likable emotional relationship with people as far as possible. The good, the ability to accept each other and be very professional is important, which will come in the course. Some people are very personal, very, very, emotional, and they're able to get certain things done, but the others appear to be rude and crude. Maybe the tone of voice, somewhere at the time your first interaction could have gone haywire.
We always used to hear that the corporate life is very demanding. What Ruby was pointing out, and even Nimi, and so basically even, our kind of
Work.
Teaching is also work is becoming very, very demanding and hectic
Especially
now.
for you, no, teachers, especially
Yeah.
for you teachers, because you're not able to see the students, you're not able to clarify so many things face to face. There are so many things that are left out that all the time you sit before your computer, you're online or you're on the phone. I think it can be very demanding on your mental as well as your emotional health. And worst of it, you're sitting at home and you have other pressures also from home. Terrible. Sometimes I feel I'm blessed I'm not into this. Come out of teaching, though I do miss students. Okay. Shall we move on to our next agenda? Any other questions for time management? Students, we are only telling you, preparing you proactively for what you can expect in the corporate life. Not necessarily all that I'm saying need to happen immediately and you have to be perfect in all this. Please remember, asking for help is not admitting failure, and having a difficulty is not called inefficiency. That you must simply embed it in your mind. Asking for help is not admitting failure. So when you can't do something, please ask for help. No harm in whatever image you have built about yourself. And having a difficulty does not mean you're inefficient. Please keep these two laws embedded in your mind, then you'll be able to cope with a lot of disappointments and mistakes or errors in your rejections even in your office. Now we come to
Sorry, I have one more question. How is corporate life now during COVID times?
Sad, but still productive. Productive because you don't waste time on commuting, things are getting done, technology and fast connectivity, all that is happening. Certain costs are saved and certain kind of work gets done faster because everything now is in black and white. But sad because people don't interact. There are so many decisions you have to take while meeting with people, and people are more stressed. They work longer hours, they require a change. They want to meet their colleagues, they want to have outings, and your hours of work get stretched. That is why they say have a rich personal life. Even a little time to say I devote 5 to 6 in the morning for walking, jogging, singing, dancing, or doing something. You must have an individual workout, to unwind. You will have to make that. Before it was your commuting itself was something, an outing where you went, had a fresh air, you went to office, met people. Very, very sad. People are not very happy. That is why we have what now we call the hybrid work force, no? And we have that. How sometimes some employees go 2 days a week into their office and 5 days or maybe 4 days a week they work from home. Some have to go to office because of the nature of work, but they're encouraging people to at least go 1 day to office unless it is the COVID count is very high. For example, in Singapore, they are not expected to go, at least they say 90% of the workers should not go to office because the numbers are increasing. In spite of the rigid norms and the carefulness and the discipline with which people are doing, they know that one kind of a variant is spreading very fast. They have more than 3,000 cases. So they're very strict about dining rules, meeting rules. You can only visit one family. 2 people can visit a family once. That's all. You can't get more than 2 visitors. You cannot go only 2 people can go for a dine out. They're trying to find out if they want to have a balance between burnout because working at home and also the need for unwinding in an outside space and going out with the family. Very, very difficult. The threshold of tolerance level is not challenged too much, but we don't know what will happen. That's why US, UK and all have opened their doors and said, come what may, we have to learn to live with COVID. That's all.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. I'll just increase the light in my thing. Just give me a second. So shall we move on to the next requirement is, what kind of a team player are you? So please look at your team working skills, learn to coordinate, learn to cooperate with others, learn to share information at the right time, be open to feedback from other members. Now, in team working, there are a lot of challenges. You will be working a lot and somebody else gets away with by not working at all. But the credit and the benefit goes to the entire team. This is reality. sometimes what happens is that some team players are very secretive. They don't come out openly with the difficulties. The project gets stalled or the finishing deadlines get delayed, but you are taken to task because you are given the responsibility. This is also possible. And sometimes in team meetings, you don't stick to the agenda. You go on talking about unnecessary. It becomes a personal backlash session or a previous kind of postmortem sessions. So the agenda for which you may meet may not take place. So be aware of all these kind of challenges in a team. Give your contribution to. When people give you a feedback, don't take it personally. Look at the issue, not the person. Learn to also find out that the criticism, learn from that criticism, and don't try to get negative and worked up that it should affect your work performance. It's easier said than done, but as youngsters, you must learn to take criticism in a more mature way. And when you give a feedback, a negative feedback to somebody, we say follow the sandwich principle: positive, negative, positive. Say something pleasant in the beginning, and then you say what went wrong, and close the transaction with something pleasant. When the whole thing is unpleasant, what can there be pleasant? Means think of something good. We really like the message you had sent yesterday regarding it was very useful. Something like that, not even related to this issue. But coming to this, look at whatever had to be corrected and then close it by saying, yes, I think we'll work on it tomorrow. Can we fix a meeting tomorrow? Can I expect something? Positive does not mean you're praising the person or appreciating the person. You're not trying to pinpoint some behavior that went wrong. And that brings me to the next aspect of feedback. Criticize the action, not the person. Tell him what he did was wrong, not that he is wrong. It makes a lot of difference. When somebody says you have messed it up, you tend to feel very upset. This particular report in which the statistics are misquoted is going to delay our project submission. If you say that, please make the necessary corrections and give, then you're not saying that he's a messy person, his work is messy. That's very important, the way you put in the criticism. So criticize the action, not the person. And or never criticize a person when he is not in a prepared frame of mind. In the sense he's already in a meeting, already stressed. Don't add on to the thing. This is useful for corporate life, our personal life, as well as our professional life. And when you appreciate the person as well as the work. That makes the person feel good. The feel good factor is very, very important in any team working for interpersonal relationship. And deadlines have to be respected. Remember that urgency and priority has to be somewhat understood by all the team members. When we say something is urgent, it means there is a time pressure. When we say something is important, it's important to achieve the goals or the end results. So what is urgent for you may not be urgent for somebody else, and what is important for you is not. So you will have to come to a kind of a balance and an understanding that how you're going to go about balancing people's priorities. Always you must do what is important, not urgent, well, because that is the time where you have planned. Urgent and important comes due to emergencies or something because there is a crisis. And people, half the time, teamwork gets delayed or results get delayed because people do urgent work that is not important. Give a sense of urgency to work that is not important. So please remember that urgency factor and the priority factor, balance and work it out with your team members so that the deadlines are met. Any questions relating to this? Shall we go ahead? Anything? Okay. What else is required for me to succeed in corporate life? First of all, you have to review your progress from time to time. Your teachers reviewed it, your friends reviewed it, or your professors reviewed it. Here you have to do a lot of, along with the review done by your managers, you also have to review it yourself. Have I got the necessary skills? Am I on the right track? What is the perception of others? How have I been learning? Have I been responding to suggestions? Do I value feedback? And do I ignore what is a false criticism? And do I take everything personally or emotionally? So these are the things that you have to ask yourself when you do a review check of your progress in the organization. So you have to do a constant review check. Then you will also have to be very flexible and adaptable. There is open to change, open, adaptable to the new. You may be in one project, suddenly there is a paucity of people in another project, it may change you. You're well settling in one work and suddenly they give you another work or an added responsibility. You can't say no because the boss is telling you, and you know that you need this job very badly and you have to be confirmed, or you can't get a job elsewhere. So you will have to learn to adapt and be flexible and know how to manage two priorities at the same time. So there is, what is this danger is that you may be overworked, you may get your burnout may happen, but see to it that you have made good buddies, have good colleagues who can help you out sometimes in doing your work, getting your work done. This is where your interpersonal skills, sometimes, people with whom you have reciprocally help each other. For example, you're doing some work which you never did in your internship in your college, and there is a little experienced fellow sitting next to you in your team who knows. He helps you out, even though you are expected to figure it out yourself. Now, next time when he needs help and you are able to do it, run that extra mile for that person. That will help you in your adaptability skills. Then you must work well under pressure, meeting deadlines. How do you discipline yourself, the habits that you have, how you learn, you don't give up, to do a shoddy work. All this depends upon the kind of habits you have formed for yourself. Then you also have to show that you are a confident and reliable person throughout your working organization. Confidence, how do you show? In the way you speak, in your body language, in the way you volunteer, you show initiative, the way you are able to write reports, projects, where you are able to interact with people at all levels. And at every time, do not learn to sacrifice work ethics. You must learn to be honest and follow the protocols of, the rules of the organization. Sometimes, people, I have heard lots of young students coming and telling me, or young workers coming and telling me, my boss asked me to do something wrong. I didn't know how to say it wrong. I said, you will have to say no, because I know examples of people where it was customary to break rules and prepare a false report. And many people got away with it. The managers got away with it. But this particular person, when he joined, there was an audit, and when they found, they dismissed him. Another case of a young girl where she had an emergency at home, and the boss gave her permission to copy the office files into her personal ID. She said, I'll go and do it in office. And this permission was given, and it was found out the girl was sacked. Though she could not openly say, the manager helped her to find another job. A lot of times when certain ethical principles, always be consistent with it. And you need to be, if you feel that, no, I can't, my boss is putting too much pressure on me, 3 roads, like I said yesterday: fight, adapt, or flight. Fight with the boss. Say, no, I can't do it. Whatever be the consequences, I can't do it because it's against my conscience, and these are the reasons why I'm saying no. Suppose this job is very important to you, and you don't know how to disobey him. Right? You say, I will only do those portions of the work which are not controversial. I will do and keep it informed to a skip level or to our HR, saying that these are the things that I have been doing. Keep them informed about your work schedules. So these are the things that I've been doing to another person of your level, to another person the senior level, or to your HR level. And then the third, this thing is to quit the organization because you don't know, you feel that you can't take it anymore. These are very, very important for you when you work into an organization. Now, so to sum up everything before we go for the session, Nirmala, 5:30 would be fine so that I can take half an hour, some questions from the audience, or do you want me to?
No. I leave it to you entirely.
Yeah. Is there some pressure that I need to finish it a little faster?
No, there's no pressure from my end at all.
Okay. Let me come to a small game in which I want to see whether you are, especially the students, whether you have got that professional tinge in your communication. Okay, I'll give you a small case, a small story, and you tell me how would you convince. The persuasion is a very important skill in organizations. I want to say your emotional intelligence, your persuasion, and your ability to convince others about why you have taken this course of action is very, very important, for which I'm going to give you a small story or a small case study, you can say, and you tell me how would you present your case. There are no right or wrong answers. There is a family, and there is about 12-year-old boy, and the parents are subscribing to an adults only magazine. And the parents see to it that when they read that, they see to it that it doesn't get into the hands of the young boy, and they usually read it or they deal with it when the boy is not at home or when the boy is not able to have access to it. One day they happen to go out, but by mistake they keep the magazine in a very accessible position, and this boy reads this magazine. In that magazine, there is an article saying, if you mix this amount of chemical with that amount of chemical and drink it, you will become invisible, or you can become invisible, or another effect is you can see what nobody else can see. Now, this is what, it was a fake article, it's an article by people who think they know too much. Today, we have so many self-appointed doctors and advisors, isn't it? So there was an article, they say, if you do, this boy gets very curious, but all those chemicals were bad chemicals and you can't get it easily from a pharmacy shop. But he knows that his father has a pharmacy friend, and he goes to that friend uncle and says, I have to do this for an exhibition. I have to show these are all the banned chemicals. You know my father very well. My father actually wanted to come with me and talk to you, but he's gone out. Can you please give me a little quantity of these chemicals? And the pharmacist, knowing the father well and knowing the background, he gives it. This boy goes, mixes it and drinks it, and he gets into a serious condition. Whom would you hold, or would you prioritize and say, whom would you hold first responsible for the condition of the boy? You're presenting a case. We have 4 characters or 4 people involved in this: the parents, the magazine, the boy, and the pharmacist. Now you have to persuade me or your other members. How would you present? I'm looking at your persuasion skills, your convincing skills. Do you talk with conviction about? There is no right or wrong answer. Please, there is no right answer to this case study or story. How would you present it? Whom would you hold most responsible for the condition of the boy? He's a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah, if I may answer.
Yeah, yes, Mamta.
Yeah, I feel it was the pharmacist who put the stuff in the boy's hand, and that led to the catastrophe. So I think the pharmacist is to be blamed for having not verified the
most
fact.
responsible. We are talking about most responsible for the condition of the boy. So you say it's good. Okay, anybody else agrees to her or likes to challenge her?
I think it should be the parent. I think it should be the parent who was responsible to leave that magazine there.
So would you challenge, how would you challenge Mamta's decision? Why do you show your disagreement with her? That for the magazine is not as responsible as the parents. I want you to convince each other of, or Mamta has to say why the parents can't be as held most responsible compared to the magazine, to the pharmacy.
Magazine has a clear-cut outline that it is for this kind of audience, for this kind of people. And the pharmacist, the way the boy has played up to the pharmacist that, I have a school project. So I think the onus lies on the parent, because they are not supposed to leave that material. It was an oversight, but they shouldn't have left it.
Mamta, do you agree with her?
Yeah, I beg to differ. I think all of us have choices. We make informed choices always. And I think the last choice made by the pharmacist led to it. Had the pharmacist checked up the details and not gotten carried away by a young boy, an adolescent boy, the mess would not have happened. I still feel the pharmacist is to blame.
I would hold the magazine equally responsible, because even if it is meant for adults, I would still feel, how about the fact if some adult tries out that recipe? So it's unfortunate that a child tried it out, but since it's published in the magazine, anybody else could have tried it out as well. So the magazine should not be publishing such things, even if it is for adults.
I forgot to add one little information. Usually, since this magazine on a particular page has fake information, and that page was called the fake information page, which the boy did not know.
Oh, okay. Not did we.
Okay. Anybody else holding the boy responsible? See, yes, it's a pharmacist. Yes, Kirti, why do you say that? Kirti, can you give me a reason?
Ma'am, because as you said, the boy was only 12-year-old. So a 12-year-old is in class 7 or 8. And I don't think that a 12-year-old generally requires certain chemicals which can harm someone. They're very basic chemicals that cannot harm. So I think it is the pharmacist who was responsible for the situation.
Yes, Kirti, you just finished. Anybody else not holding the boy responsible at all? A 12-year-old boy of today's generation is quite bright, no? Quite well informed, has chemistry as a subject.
But the students of 12, 13 years, they are more also curious to know things. So,
okay,
the biology involved. So I would say not the boy, but I completely agree with Mamta ma'am and Kirti, pharmacists, because, even if you are providing such harmful chemicals to anyone, you need something in proof that, why do you require it? Because there are certain medicines also which require, prescription. So even if he provided those kinds of chemicals, he would have asked the parent, or if by chance the child consumed or even dropped that chemical on himself, then he a little bit dangerous. So that way, yeah.
Okay. This story went on for one page. It said the lawyer went to the court and defended the magazine and said, please don't hold the magazine responsible because everybody knows it's a fake page. You must only charge either the pharmacist, the parents, or the boy for this and all that. It was a complete story, but I just gave you the essence of it. Now, why am I? Anybody else has any other opinion? I want somebody to tell me that the boy can be held responsible. If I say the boy is responsible, what will be the basis for convincing others? What should I hold as a propose? What should I propose as a reasoning? Let's take each one and say, okay, you said pharmacy because a pharmacy cannot give unscheduled drugs without a prescription to a young boy because he has certain ethics, of selling some drugs. You said the parents, because the parents can't afford to be careless to leave a magazine, knowing that the magazine has columns which can give you fake information, which can be dangerous. And as responsible parents, why at all should they buy a magazine and leave it at home? If they really wanted to subscribe to that magazine, they could have gone to a library and had it. Maybe you could say that. But if you want to talk about the magazine itself, you say that magazines, whether adult only or not for adults, cannot afford to give some dangerous suggestions like this and maybe endanger the lives of people who could have forgotten that it is a fake page. Now, I want some argument for convincing me that the boy can also be held responsible. Because you're going to find people like this in meetings who will always think that their point of view is the best reason why things happen. Anybody can give me a reason for the boy being responsible?
We give a lot of leeway to juveniles. So I think the boy, I'm going the other way around. I think we have to give him the benefit of being a juvenile and he gets away.
Okay. Mamta, you wanted to say something?
Yeah,
Yes?
I think that the boy, being a juvenile, can be given the benefit of the doubt and be, not held completely responsible for what happened.
One basis on which you can hold the boy responsible is who consumed. If you look at situational evidence, who consumed the boy, who lied to the pharmacist, the boy, who knew that, who had that kind of at least common sense to say that is all this possible, that can you take something like this and see become invisible? I mean, the response, the action of taking the concoction, buying the concoction by lying to the pharmacist, rests with the boy, since he consumed it and the condition was created by his consumption, which was sort of promoted by him, the boy is held responsible. Sometimes in a corporate, we find that things like, look at the age, look at the experience, look at the first time and all that may not be given as much value as the action itself and the consequences of the action. So you always have what is called a situational evidence and emotional and a legal angle to any kind of a situation. So when you get into meetings and get into some discussion, don't get into an argument, but learn to propose and disagree. Don't contradict the other person. Now, it did happen in your case, but I'm saying generally there will be a tendency for youngsters to contradict what somebody else has said or to get into a kind of an argument. What is an argument? That heated exchange between two people where they've come to a conclusion that they are right and somebody is wrong. An emotional value judgment. When people get emotional, you can't convince them at all, because they've already come to a conclusion they are right and somebody else is wrong. And what is a contradiction? A contradiction is negating any kind of fact or truth about what other people are saying. So a disagreement is, I look at the program, this proposition from this issue from this point of view. You're looking at it from that point of view. Let us come to some kind of an agreement about what are the areas we disagree, what are the areas we need to come to an agreement, depending upon the priorities and what can lead us to results. So the way you communicate, what I'm trying to say is convincing others, persuading others, manana, both important in an office, because sometimes you will have to learn to persuade your bosses, persuade your colleagues to do some things. You have to put your points with conviction. You have to talk with conviction and confidence when you present your case in a meeting, and it can be either in a written form or in oral form in a meeting, in a video conferencing or an audio meeting. Remember, don't get into an argument, don't get into a contradictory mode, don't encourage people to get into an emotional mode of exchange, because once it gets emotional, you will deviate from the main topic from which you had come for the meeting. So putting it all together, the transition requires some adaptation, some modification, plus retain some of the lovely things you have in your personality. If you're already a very smiling, cheerful, enthusiastic, energetic person, willing to give the best to whatever you undertake, always taking any assignment with enthusiasm, and you have been very systematically submitting your reports, your papers and assignments, you have lovely qualities in you as a student. Please continue these qualities even in your corporate workplace. But in a corporate workplace, you can't choose your bosses, you can't choose your colleagues, you can't choose the people whom you work with. You have to accept and get along with them because you're paid for your time. Organizations want you to grow and they want you to add value to their organization. They are not a social service organization. They are a profitability company. So quality, relationships, productivity are issues that they will always look at. So learn to, look at each job as a committed assignment given to you. Whichever job you are at, whatever time period you are in, give your best. Don't get frustrated by somebody else who's good at things that you are not good at. Learn from that person, because nobody can become somebody else. If if I have 100% fluency in communication, but I'm only 10% in writing skills, I must learn from a person who is 90% in writing, and we both have to get together in order to get a job done. So this collaborative approach is what today's organizations are looking for. All the best to you. I hope our sessions added a lot of meaning, value, and new insights into your knowledge. Thank you so much. Yes, the floor is yours, Nirmala.
No, participants, please, any questions, any comments, any suggestions, anything that you wish to share with the speaker, please go ahead. Anybody from the audience?
Thank you for a very, very valuable session today also. And I think this was a great exposure to students. And I think both the sessions add value, meaning to their lives. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Super. Any other question? Any doubts? Anything that you like to add on?
Naba is always very extremely interactive. Naba, you don't have any questions today, Naba?
Yeah, she's there. IPCW. Yeah, Naba.
Vidhi, any questions?
Ma'am, to be honest, I don't have any questions because I got to learn a lot today from Vijayanthi ma'am. So I'm absorbing that knowledge. So far I don't have any questions. I only have compliments for you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. You made my day.
Naba's writing something.
Thank you, Naba. It added value to you, definitely. I'm very happy.
Prerna,
Yes.
I think you can proceed with your formal vote of thanks then.
Yes, ma'am. On behalf of the Department of Human Development and Family Empowerment, Janki Devi Memorial College, I would like to thank you, ma'am, for doing such an amazing session. It was such a meaningful session, and there was so much information that you shared with us, and your own experience. You gave so many incidents, this can happen and all that. So which is sometimes really helpful. Rather than getting into the situation, when you get to know through the case studies, it becomes so important for us, next time when we are in that situation, how to deal with that. So sometimes learning from someone else's mistakes can also become really important for all of us. So I'm very sure that these students would have gained many points. They must have written their points, which they're going to use definitely in an year or in 1.5 years, because they're going to get into their master courses or their different jobs and all. So, and I one more thing I enjoyed is the activities which you gave, and the discussed it. So it was really nice to do those activities. The last case we discussed, it was really nice. And thank you once again for doing another session today with us and taking out your time. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. My pleasure. Yes,
thank you, Vijayanthi, for that brilliant session. And in fact, 2 sessions that you devoted to our course, and for being so kind and so gracious, and you accepted at the word go. So that's really nice of you, very sweet of you. So everybody, please come over for a group photograph on the camera.
Vidhi is already there.
Yeah.
This is Prerna. Okay, I like to see your faces. Suparna. So you're asking a lot of
Suparna,
questions.
you must see.
I must see Suparna. I must see Prerna. I must see also. Somebody else was there asking me, are you she? I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear your voice at all.
I didn't hear.
The others have, yeah. Anyway.
Mamta's there, Suparna's there.
Mamta's there. Yes, Mamta. Yes. Where is Mamta? I'm not able. Here there is.
Ma'am, it was a wonderful session.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed it thoroughly. And
you didn't yawn? Did you yawn?
No.
No, that's one measurement of success for me. If people yawn or they switch off mentally, then I know that I have to bring them back to track. But I can't see you. All of you have switched off your videos. So I really don't know who was sleeping, half asleep or fully awake.
In fact, you are a brilliant teacher, I must say, because you kept everybody engaged thoroughly. You know, I think everybody was mentally present here today.
I love talking, and I'm paid for talking in my profession. So I really enjoy both.
So your interaction is plus.
Thank you so much.
One thing I've heard about Vijayanthi from her colleagues, that whenever she does a session, she remembers the names of the participants and she calls them by their name, you know, like every time. So this is something I heard about you from others. Now
long ago. Now I don't know, because now we have all the names are here. In my sessions, I used to have that. Used to be my USP. So remember,
I was told that you could remember 100 names.
Not 100 names. Hey, that's an exaggeration. We had in a class 20 to 25. That's all. You are all great people. You have people hundreds and 40s. You still remember lots of students' names, no? Especially when they shine out for good or bad ways. You definitely will remember them. For me, it was not the greatest advantage for us is we see them, we remember them in that class, afterwards switch off, again switch on for another class. So I don't have the burden to carry on those names again and again. We had only 20 to 25 in a session, not 100 or 45.
No, you've done so many sessions, na? Because I was told that Vijayanthi remembers the names of all
but they put me into
call them by their names.
No, one guy whom I had taught long ago met me in the lift after about 2 years. Ma'am, tell me my name. How will I remember his name? So I had to be very polite and said, I know I'm getting old. Maybe you should give me a hint. He got very angry. He said SRI in the front and RAM in the end. He got so fed up. He said, Sri Ram is my name. And you forgot. And I was an intelligent participant, you told me. I really felt bad. But we don't have super memories to register everybody's names permanently.
Nimi has a super memory. Nimi has a super memory. She remembers.
Going now. Gradually going.
No, but you remember even previous students, lots of old students' names and all that?
Yeah, the ones who were very naughty or the ones who never came to class, who troubled us a lot, or the ones who were very good. The in-between ones, no.
She even remembers the entire faculty group's birthdays, names, their children's names.
That is all computerized. I have no effort from my side.
No, I can't boast of any of those skills at all. For me, when I teaching people, motley group, from 55, usually the corporate group 55 to 25. So I should make the 55 feel important and the 25 also, not to be bogged down. So remembering names used to be one technique for me. So, they felt very nice. The ones who never opened their mouth, when you call out by the name, they feel very good. That name is our identity badge.
I'm really glad. Both the sessions went off so well. And just one more left with Jayashree, and then we are done with the course.
Okay. I'm sure so much of a value addition has taken place in these sessions for the last 2 months. And students are, I think, lucky and blessed. We never had any of these kinds.
I know. We didn't have these opportunities. Yeah.
We had good teachers, wonderful teachers, were very good in their subject, and not everyone. I'm saying most of the teachers were. But they were so good, so disciplined. They taught us more of character building and less of maybe content transmission. That's what I remember them. But today, at the whisk of a button, everything is at your doorstep, and you have taken so much efforts to bring. I hope they benefit and they know the value. Not now. When they become parents and when they face a situation like chewing the cud, all this will come back to their memory.
Yeah, they always, after 4 or 5 years, they write a message, ma'am, I'm glad you made us slog then, because now we realize, it comes later. The realization comes later, doesn't come then. That time they really hate you. This woman makes me work so hard. That kind of thing.
And I think all of us have come together, most of us come together because we like our profession. It's very gratifying.
That is very important.
Very
That
gratifying.
is very important.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vijayanthi, and all the
Thank
best
you.
and happy